In 1986, two very violent thieves appeared in the American city of Miami. They were targeting money transfer trucks and banks, and they had absolutely no problem using extreme violence in their crimes. They would open fire literally for no reason other than just fun, and they kept doing one operation after another without any hesitation. Sometimes they even carried out two operations in the same day, but they were professional in all meanings, and they never left any evidence behind. Even the FBI investigators were confused, and when the real identities would later be revealed, people would be shocked by things they never expected at all. Our story took place in the city of Miami, in the state of Florida in the United States. In the year 1985, crime rates in the city increased clearly during this time. Florida in general was, and still is, known for problems and crime. With the rise in crime rates that year, two men appeared, or more like exactly two thieves. These thieves used a very violent style in their crimes, and they never hesitated to shoot anyone who stood in their way. Their first appearance was on 8th of October 1985. On that day, an armored money transport truck was parked next to a restaurant. These trucks are responsible for collecting cash from different businesses like restaurants and shops, and then taking that money to the bank. Of course, these trucks are bulletproof, and both the driver and the guards are armed. The driver is supposed to stay inside the truck while the guard goes out to collect the money. But at the exact moment, neither the driver nor the guard knew that there were two men watching them. These men were hiding between cars parked near the restaurant, and these two men were the same thieves our story is about. The thieves were heavily armed. One of them was carrying a shotgun, and the other had a mini 14 rifle. And these weapons are considered military level weapons, not normal weapons that ordinary people would usually own. Even the clothes they were wearing were military style. They were wearing black masks covering their faces and black gloves covering their hands. When the guard came out of the restaurant after collecting the money, the two men suddenly surprised him. They attacked him and immediately ordered him to open the truck door. But the guard kept saying, I can't. And they were shouting at him, telling him, open it or we will kill you. But he kept telling them that he didn't have the keys and that only the driver could open the doors. So quickly, the thieves took the guard to the driver, trying to force him to open the truck. But of course, money transport companies have a very strict and very clear rules for situations like this. The driver is not allowed to open the door no matter what happens, no matter how serious the threats are. So the driver refused to open the door. The guard who was being held by the thieves knew these rules very well. He knew that the driver would never open the door no matter what. So he was just waiting for the right moment to escape. And when he noticed that the thieves were focused on the driver, he immediately ran as fast as he could. At the same time, the driver also drove the truck away and escaped. The thieves then started shooting at the truck, but of course the truck was armored, so it was not affected at all. But the important thing here is that it was very clear that these two men were ready to use extreme violence. They were not just trying to steal, they were actually trying to kill. They even tried to shoot directly at the driver through the window. And that kind of action only happens when someone truly has the intention to commit murder. After that, according to witnesses, the thieves went back to their white car and quickly escaped the scene. Immediately after that, the police arrived along with the FBI, because any attack or attempted robbery of money transport trucks falls under their responsibility. These trucks are protected by the federal government, so the FBI agents and police officers started examining the scene, questioning witnesses, and trying to find any clue that could lead them to the thieves. But unfortunately, there was nothing. The thieves left no evidence at all. The witnesses only saw two men wearing masks and military-style clothing. Even their skin color was not clearly visible. The only thing investigators were able to get from the witnesses was the license plate number of the car that the thieves used to escape. But of course, as expected, the car turned out to be stolen a month earlier. Obviously, they wouldn't use a car registered in their own names, so this was another dead end. When investigators questioned the guard who had been held by the thieves, he told them something very important. He said that the thieves were moving in a way that clearly showed military tactics. For example, one of them was shooting, the other was standing behind, covering him. And this is clearly a military tactic, not something typical criminals usually do. The only money the thieves managed to steal was the cash that the guard had with him when he came out of the restaurant, which was was about $2,800. That is a very small amount compared to the risk they took. So this operation was basically a failure to them. Because of that, investigators were very sure of one thing: thieves at this level would never accept failure. They would definitely try again. And exactly 8 days later, on 16th of October 1985, in a place very close to the first robbery attempt, there was another money transport truck parked near a supermarket. The driver was waiting inside the truck, while as usual the second guard went inside the supermarket to collect the money. When the guard came back carrying the money bags, the driver opened the back door of the truck so they could put the bags inside. This was the exact moment the thieves were waiting for. They were watching from distance, and this time they were not going to repeat the same mistake. They would not attack while the doors were closed. The attack had to happen while the doors were open. So the moment they saw the doors open, they immediately drove toward the truck at full speed. The guards did not notice them because they were busy loading the bags, and this time it was clear the thieves came with bad intentions. One of them came out through the roof opening of the car, raised his weapon, and the moment they got close, he opened fire immediately. The guard who was holding the money bags and putting them into the truck fell to the ground. He was wearing a protective vest under his clothes, but the shotgun blast still knocked him down. The second guard, the driver, immediately pulled out his weapon and started shooting back at the thieves. The thieves returned fire. Their goal was clear: either kill him or seriously injure him, just like they did to his partner. They just wanted to take him down, but the guard fought back hard. He showed strong resistance, and when the thieves felt that the gunfight was taking too long, they decided to escape. They knew the police would respond quickly and their time was limited. Since they couldn't finish him quickly, they chose the safer option and ran away. Police and FBI arrived quickly, and an ambulance came as well. They took the injured guard, but sadly this guard later died in the hospital from his injuries. Even though he was wearing a bulletproof vest, a shotgun shot from that close distance was enough to kill him. Investigators questioned the second guard, the driver who exchanged fire with the thieves. From his testimony, it was clear that these were the same two thieves from the first truck robbery near the restaurant 8 days ago. After the FBI examined the bullet casings left behind, they confirmed it. Same weapons, same shooters. They matched the bullets from this scene with the first incident. Now the investigators were even more worried. It was clear these thieves were extremely willing to use violence. This was their second failed attempt, and this time they didn't even steal a single dollar, so no one knew what they might do next. But one thing was certain: they would try again 100%. And exactly 2 weeks later, on Friday, 8th of November 1985, the thieves appeared again, but this time they changed their target. Instead of attacking an armored truck, they decided to rob a bank. They chose the Florida National Bank. This branch had a main building and next to it a smaller drive-through building where people could withdraw or deposit money while staying in their cars, like a fast food service. At that moment, there was a female employee and a guard carrying money bags. They were walking from the main building to the drive-through to deposit the money. The thieves were waiting for this exact moment. They suddenly attacked them, took the money from the guard, and then at gunpoint ordered the employee to open the drive-through bank door. The employee was extremely nervous. She tried to follow their orders, but it seems there was a problem with the keys, or maybe she was too stressed to find the right key. The situation got worse because the thieves were shouting at her, telling her to hurry up. She got even more nervous, and then she dropped the keys from her hands. The tension became even higher. Every second was making the thieves more angry, especially since they were standing in the middle of the street in broad daylight. Even though they were violent, they still preferred the safer option when needed. So when they saw that she was taking too long, they decided to leave. They escaped quickly, taking only the money they got from the guard. This time, the amount they stole was $10,000. As expected, right after that, the police and FBI investigators arrived. After questioning the employee and the guard, they quickly linked this operation to the previous two. And imagine this: The location was only one street away from the first and second robberies, so investigators started to notice a pattern. All the crimes were happening in the same area. They knew these two thieves would continue, but what they never expected was that only 1 hour after that, the thieves would attack another bank called Savings Bank just 4 kilometers away. The two men entered the bank and ordered everyone to get down on the floor. The one with the shotgun stayed with the people, while the other, who had the Mini 14 rifle, went to an employee and ordered her to give him all the money. After taking the cash, both of them quickly left the bank. This time the amount was bigger. It was $41,000. This money had just arrived at the bank from a money truck, so it seems the thieves followed the truck, watched it, and loaded the money and then attacked the bank right after. When they escaped this time, they used a gray Chevrolet Monte Carlo, different from their previous white car, and of course it was most likely stolen too. Investigators arrived at the bank and started questioning witnesses, but nothing's new. Same description, two masked men with heavy weapons. They were hoping to get security camera footage from outside the bank, but unfortunately the cameras were not working. At this point, investigators started to feel stuck. There was not a single clue that could lead them to the two men. 4 operations and still nothing. The only idea they had was that these men might be former police officers or ex-military, because all witnesses agreed that their movements, the way they spoke and how they handled weapons, showed professional military tactics. After this last bank robbery, the case went quiet for a while. 2 months passed with no new crimes. The thieves disappeared, but they came back again on Friday, 10th of January 1986. That day, a money transfer truck was parked in front of a bank called Barnett Bank. The guards were unloading money into the bank. At the same time, a man named William Roberts was sitting in his car. He was a bank customer and came to deposit money. He noticed a car stepping behind the money truck. What caught his attention was that the two men inside were wearing masks. He watched them get out of the car, raise their weapons, and shoot the guard in the back. And to make sure he was dead, one of them shot him 2 more times after he fell. They killed him on the spot. After that, they quickly took the money from the truck, loaded it into their car, and escaped. This time the amount was even bigger. It was $54,000. But this witness, William Roberts, immediately followed them with his car. His reaction was very calm, which is surprising. Even after seeing a man get killed in front of him, he didn't panic. Instead, he followed them carefully, keeping a safe distance. He noted the car type and the license plate. He followed them until they reached the parking area, where they stopped next to a white pickup truck. William stayed far away across the street and kept watching. The thieves got out of the car and removed their masks. Because of the distance, William couldn't clearly see their faces, but at least he could tell they were white. They moved their weapons and the stolen money from their car into the white pickup truck. Unfortunately, he couldn't see the pickup's plate number. At the same time, police and FBI arrived at the bank. This was no longer just a robbery scene, it was literally a murder scene. They started examining the area and questioning witnesses. The bullet shells confirmed it was the same weapons used in the previous crimes. But this time they had something important, a key witness, William Roberts. He told them everything and showed them where the thieves left their car. He also told them about the white pickup truck, but sadly he couldn't see its plate number as we mentioned earlier. So investigators focused on the car left behind. They checked the plate and found it was registered to a man named Aureliano Briel, something like that. There was no report that the car was stolen, which made them suspicious. Maybe this man was connected to the criminals, or maybe he was one of them. 2 investigators prepared themselves and went to his house. They arrived at a normal looking home and knocked on the door. A woman opened the door and the investigators introduced themselves as FBI agents. Then the woman's husband came out and welcomed them. He asked if they were there about their son, Emilio. The investigators didn't know who Emilio was, so they said they were there because a car registered under the name Aureliano. The man confirmed that he was Aureliano and invited them inside. Inside, Aureliano explained that their 25-year-old son, Emilio, had been missing for 3 months. he had taken the family car and went to a place called the Everglades to practice shooting. Since that day, they never saw him again, and they reported him missing. Now, the investigators understood why the car was not reported stolen. It disappeared with the son. The parents were clearly upset. At first, they thought the investigators had news about their son, Emilio, but it turned out that they only found the car, and this likely meant something very bad happened to Emilio. The investigators concluded that the family had nothing to do with the criminals. They were victims too. Forensic teams checked the car completely, but again, nothing. No fingerprints, no evidence. After this robbery, the case went cold again. No new crimes happened for 2 months. The FBI kept working, but there was no progress. Then in March 1986, one FBI investigator read a news article that caught his attention. It was about an attempted murder of a man named Jose Colazo. According to the article, 2 men attacked him, shot him multiple times, then stole his gun and his car, a black 1982 Chevrolet Monte Carlo. The investigator immediately went to his team and said, "Look at this, I'm very sure this is connected to our criminals." He believed the stolen black car would definitely appear in future robberies. His colleagues didn't reject the idea, but they weren't fully convinced. For them, it was just a guess, but he was 100% sure. The article said Jose was shot 4 times but survived somehow. He managed to reach a nearby store and call for help. He was now in the hospital. Even though it was just a guess, the team decided to take it seriously because the investigator was very experienced. They went to the hospital to speak with Jose. Jose was just badly injured. He had 4 gunshot wounds in critical areas, but he agreed to talk. He told them he had gone to the Everglades to practice shooting. And this should remind you of something. The missing son, Emilio, who also went to the same place and never came back. The Everglades in Florida is known as an open wild area where people go to practice shooting and hunting. Jose said while he was practicing, a white pickup truck stopped behind him. 2 men got out. He didn't know them, and it was strange because the area is not populated. Before he could react, they pointed guns at him and told him to give them his weapon, wallet, and car keys. Their behavior was very aggressive, and they insulted him badly even though he didn't resist. He gave them everything they asked for, but still one of them shot him, and after he fell, the man came closer and shot him 3 more times. He should have definitely died under normal circumstances, but somehow he survived. He pretended to be dead to trick them. The second man took Jose's black car, while the first got into the white pickup truck. Then both of them left the area together. After they left, Jose was still lying on the ground. His injuries were very deep and dangerous. The fact that he was still alive was already a miracle, but now if he wanted to survive, he had to somehow stand up and get out of that place. He needed to find someone to help him. In another miracle, he managed to stand up, and imagine this, he walked about 1.5 kilometers until he reached a small store. From there, they were able to call an ambulance for him. After hearing his story, investigators were sure that the 2 men who attacked him were the same thieves they were looking for. The white pickup truck and the weapons he described, along with the way they spoke and their violence, all that pointed right at them. Jose was the best witness the FBI had so far. He was the only person who faced the criminals and survived. So investigators took a detailed description from him and brought in an artist to draw sketches of the 2 men. Then they released wanted posters with their descriptions, crimes, and sketches, along with a warning that these men were extremely dangerous and heavily armed. The FBI and police continued their efforts. They were especially focused on finding Jose's stolen black car, but before they could make any progress, the thieves struck again. On the 19th of March 1986, they attacked another bank in the same area. As usual, they entered with heavy weapons and ordered everyone to lie on the ground. One of them, the one with the shotgun, stayed with the people, while the other with the mini .14 rifle forced the cashier to give him the money. In the end, they escaped with their loot, which was worth around $30,000. After the thieves left, people got up and called the police. This was their 6th robbery. As usual, when investigators arrived and questioned witnesses, there was nothing new. The only new thing this time was security camera footage, which thankfully was working, but even that was useless. There was nothing in it that could help identify the thieves. From analyzing all the crimes, the FBI became almost sure that the thieves were watching banks before robbing them. The robberies happened just minutes after new money shipments arrived. Most likely, they were even following money trucks. When the truck delivered money to a bank, they would attack that bank right after. So it seemed they didn't care which bank to rob, they just followed the money truck whenever it went. Investigators also noticed a pattern. The crimes usually happened on Fridays between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. and all within an area of about 10 kilometers. So the FBI decided to increase patrols in that area as much as possible. Their focus was on finding the white pickup truck and the black car stolen from Jose. Days and weeks passed. Then came 11th of April 1986, a Friday. So the FBI increased patrols on Fridays, especially because the pattern showed the thieves preferred that day in the morning hours. And at around 8:30 a.m., 14 FBI agents met in a parking lot. Their mission was to cover the entire area over the next 4 hours, which had a range of about 12 kilometers. They took out a map and assigned routes. There were 14 agents, 2 in each car, meaning 7 cars and 7 patrols. The patrols spread out in all directions, staying close to banks, since those were the main targets. 2 agents in one of the cars were named Ben Gorgon and Jerry Dove. They were heading towards a bank they believed could be a target. On the way, something unexpected happened. A black Chevrolet Monte Carlo appeared in front of them. Its description matched exactly the stolen car of Jose. When they got closer and checked the license plate, it matched. This was Jose's car, which meant the thieves were inside. They did not even change the plate. They probably didn't expect Jose to survive or that the FBI would connect his car to the robberies. Now, of course, the agents couldn't believe it. One of them quickly grabbed the radio and informed the other units. He said, "We are following Jose's car. The suspects are inside. We are right behind them." As soon as the message reached the other patrols, they all started moving towards the location. There was no GPS back then, so they used street names to guide each other, turning right, left, heading south or west, something like that. Soon, another patrol joined them and started following behind, but now this could raise suspicion. So thieves began looking behind them and noticed that 2 cars are following them. To test it, they turned right into a quiet residential area. The cars followed. Then they turned right again. The cars still followed. Keep in mind that if you turn right and then turn right again, that means you are kind of spinning around yourself like a circle. So at this moment, they were sure they were being chased. The FBI agents were just trying to buy time until more units arrived, because the more cars they had, the easier it would be to surround the suspects. The thieves, even though they knew they were being followed, did not speed up. Instead, they turned left onto a road that led to the highway. That would be very dangerous. A chase on the highway could put many lives at risk. Now, luckily, a third FBI car joined the chase. Now, there was 3 cars behind the suspects. At that moment, the agents in the first car saw the passenger raise a weapon, a rifle. It was clear now these men were not going to surrender peacefully. They were ready to fight. The agents knew that they had to stop them immediately. Agent Ben Grogan turned on the lights and ordered them to stop using the loudspeaker, but these suspects ignored him. The agents pulled up next to them and ordered them again to stop, but still no response. So the first FBI car moved to block the road. The second car moved beside them and the third stayed behind. The suspects were now surrounded. A car in front, one beside, and one behind. The agents kept shouting at them to stop, but the suspects just looked at them coldly and kept driving like nothing was happening. At that point, the agents had no choice but to try and stop them by force. They tried to push their car off the road, but the passenger pulled out his rifle and aimed at the car next to them. When the agents agent in the near car saw this, he immediately rammed the suspect's car from behind to stop them from shooting his teammates. After that, the suspects tried to make a U-turn, but the agent kept pushing them until their car was forced into a parking area and crashed into several parked cars. The suspect's car finally stopped. At that moment, the passenger grabbed his Mini 14 rifle and opened fire on the agent behind them. The agent quickly got out of his car and took cover. Then the other FBI agents arrived and also got out, drawing their weapons and opening fire. But the suspects had the advantage in weapons. The FBI agents only had pistols, while the suspects had a Mini 14 rifle and the driver had a shotgun, heavy military level weapons. Even though FBI had more people, the suspects refused to surrender. The driver with the shotgun managed to shoot Agent Ben Grogan, but it was not a deadly hit. Then another agent, McNeil, managed to shoot the driver, causing a serious injury. But the other suspect with the Mini 14 rifle increased his fire. His rifle had about 30 bullets in one magazine, while the FBI agent's pistols only had around 5 or 6 bullets before needing to reload. So he had much more firepower. He started hitting agents one after another. One agent was shot in the hand. Another agent named Edmundo Miles tried to move forward, but he was also shot in the arm with a serious injury. The fight was extremely intense. During the gunfight, the suspect with the Mini 14 rifle tried to get out of the car through the window, but one of the agents managed to shoot him in the chest. For a moment, the agents thought they had killed him, that they were finally done with him. But the shock was that the criminal got up again and surprised one of the agents, whose name was McNeil, and shot him with a serious injury in the neck. Most of the agents were now injured. Another patrol arrived at the scene and 2 more agents joined the fight. But even with all of this, the criminal kept fighting all of them. His movements were clearly the movements of a trained professional fighter. There is no way a normal person could stand alone against all these agents, even if he had better weapons. He wasn't just standing in one place defending himself. No, he was moving between the cars, advancing and putting pressure on the agents. It was a very aggressive military style tactic, like he had nothing left to lose, as if he was saying, if I die today, I will take as many of you with me as I can. Something crazy. Because of the small magazine size of the agents' pistols, their ammo ran out quickly, so 3 of them had to fall back behind a car to reload. These agents were Ben Grogan, Jerry Dove, and John Hanlon. They were trying to reload as fast as possible, but the criminal noticed them. He quickly moved around the other agents who were shooting at him from a distance and advanced until he reached those 3. Then he opened fire. He shot the first one in the hand, then shot him again in the upper leg. After that, he turned to the other 2 and shot them in deadly areas, killing them on the spot. All the agents around him were either injured or dead. Only 2 agents were still shooting at him from a distance. Then the criminal moved toward one of the FBI cars and tried to start it. He was trying to escape, but the car had been hit by many bullets during the fight, so it wouldn't start. One of the injured agents, Edmundo Miles, was still able to move and he had a shotgun. When he saw the criminal going towards the car, he started shooting at him. At the time, the second criminal, the driver who had been shot in the neck, somehow managed to move. Even though his injury was very serious, he got out of the car through the window and tried to escape with his partner. Agent Edmundo Miles increased his fire. There was no way he would let them escape after everything that happened. After he fired his last shotgun round, he gathered all his strength, pulled out his pistol, and stood up. He himself said that at the moment, he was not even aware of the condition. His injuries should have stopped him from moving at all, but adrenaline could do incredible things. It can give a person the power to move even when they are close to death. Miles walked toward the car and raised his pistol and opened fire on the 2 criminals from point blank range. He kept shooting until he killed both of them on the spot, and that was the end of the violent battle. Soon after, emergency teams and ambulances arrived and began treating the injured agents. The scene was extremely brutal. 5 agents were seriously injured and 2 agents were killed, along with 2 criminals. This battle is considered one of the bloodiest in FBI history. After it, they changed the weapon weapons used by FBI agents and gave them stronger firearms. There are real photos and footage from the scene after the battle, but I can't show them because they are very graphic and very bloody. If you are curious, you can search FBI Miami Shootout 1986 on Google and you will find them, but I don't really recommend you to do so. The agents who were killed were Jerry Dove, 30 years old, and Ben Grogan, 53 years old. Grogan had only 1 year left before retirement, and if you remember, they were the ones who first spotted the criminal's car. Maybe if they knew what would happen, they would have wished they never saw it. As for Agent Edmundo Miles, who will kill the criminals at the end of the battle, he was awarded the FBI Medal of Valor. He was the first FBI agent to receive this award. Later, he wrote a book describing the details of the operation and the battle. After the incident, investigators documented everything, every detail of what happened. There were even diagrams showing the positions of agents, the cars, and how fight took place. These details came from the testimonies of the agents who survived. And imagine this, during the battle, the criminals fired 143 rounds. This was counted from the bullet cast signs found at the scene. Now, the real and important question is, who were these two men? Investigators took fingerprints from their bodies, and their identities were finally revealed. The first criminal was Michael Platt. He was 32 years old. He was the one with the Mini 14 rifle. He killed the two agents and was responsible for most of the injuries. The second criminal was William Matix, 34 years old. He was the one with the shotgun. But the big question is, who were they really, and why did they do all of this? The answer shocked the investigators. These men were not gang members or known violent criminals in their normal lives. In fact, they had families, wives, and children. They were business partners and even had a small landscaping business. Yes, they used to design and maintain gardens. They had normal lives, friends, and social circles. They would go out, play golf, and were known as polite people. They had no criminal records at all. It was like they were living a double life. One normal life with family and friends, and another violent life that only appeared when they were together. Another important detail the FBI discovered was that both men had served in the military, and that's where they met. Michael Platt, especially, was a former Special Forces soldier. He was highly trained in shooting. The difference between military training, especially Special Forces, and FBI training is huge. FBI agents are trained mainly for investigation and analysis. Their training is more defensive. Their goal is usually to stop and arrest suspects, not to kill them. And this was clear during the battle. Most agents were taking cover behind cars, while Michael Platt was advancing and attacking with a superior weapon, using aggressive military tactics. That's what allowed him to cause so much damage despite being outnumbered. Later, investigators found a cabin owned by the two criminals. Inside, they found ammunition and weapons, including Jose's gun that they had stolen earlier. But the strange details did not end there. When investigators looked deeper into their past, they discovered that both men had previous wives who died under mysterious circumstances. William Matix's former wife, Patricia Matix, died in 1983. She worked as a lab technician in a hospital in Ohio. One evening, a man broke into the lab where she and her colleague were working, attacked them, and later both were found dead with their hands tied and their throats cut. William Matix was a suspect in the case, but there was no solid evidence. In the end, he even received a life insurance payout of $350,000 for his wife. As for Michael Platt, his wife Regina Platt was found dead in December 1984 from a shotgun wound in her mouth. The weapon was found in her hand and the case was ruled as suicide. But people close to her said she had no signs of depression or any reason to do that. Suspicion went toward Michael Platt, especially since they had serious problems in their relationship. but again, there was no clear evidence. There were even theories that the two men had some kind of agreement to get rid of each other's wives. There is no solid proof, only circumstantial evidence, but after knowing who they were, it doesn't seem impossible. And here we reach the end of our story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Again, thank you very much for watching, and peace out.